Hello. I don't actually know how to pronounce your name.
My name is Webhov. Webhov.
Vevhov. Hopefully that
Yes.
was
Pronounce
good.
it correct.
Oh, really? Awesome. Fantastic. Yeah, so this is really exciting. So developer workshop, who knows how many, but we're working with Blockflow for the very first one of 2024. So this is a really good kickoff to, I guess, building again, seeing what people are doing in the ecosystem. So I know you have a presentation kind of for us that's covering all the things like what is Blockflow, what is Web3 Backend, because that's kind of my question. So before we get into that, we can just do kind of brief introductions. Like what are you, who are you?
Thanks, Emily. So first of all, great to be here. Great to collaborate and connect with the Linear ecosystem and you as well, Emily. So I am Webhov. I am the founder of Blockflow and have been in the ecosystem for a very long time. Initially, I started as a general surfer around what is the industry. I didn't know much. Then I got into smart contract development, developed some great things. Some of the viewers might be knowing about Diamond Proxy. So I was the person who came up with it. At Instadap, it was known as Infinite Proxy back
Wait,
then.
you came up with that? That was you?
Yeah, so and it was we call it Infinite
What?
Proxy.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Keep going.
So we called it Infinite Proxy,
Yeah.
and so the ad Insta developed some pretty great things. So it was called one of the things was called Flash Aggregator. So it was ideated by the CTO of Instadap, but I developed it from scratch. I also developed Fluid, which is, in my opinion, the most advanced DeFi protocol ever. It is not launched yet by Instadap, but it's going to be live soon, and I basically encourage you all to check it out.
Yeah.
So for the past 1.5 years or something, I, along with my team, we've been working on solving a pretty great problem for our industry, which is it is right now a great problem, and it is gonna accelerate a lot in future, and we are not gonna know when the problem actually becomes an existential problem for the industry. That's what we believe. That's what we believe that data related and backend related problems are huge and are comparable or analogous to problems that AWS solved for the Web2 industry. So, everyone back then had to set up a hardware whoever wanted to run a server. Similarly, in Web3, everyone, maybe if I am supporting 7 chains for my application, I have to literally index most of the data of these 7 chains in it, which is pretty expensive. And with the complexity of transactions, which is increasing, with account abstraction and intents coming in, every transaction can have like 10 or 15 steps each transaction, and there can be like 1,000 transactions in a block. So the amount of data that is being stored on the blockchain is going to increase. And blockchains don't store every piece of information. They store data in form of inputs and outputs. So what was the state before the block, and what is the state after the block, and basically the inputs of each transaction, but not what happened inside the transaction. Then a transaction can have 10 steps, which dApp builders want to know what happened in the transaction to show data efficiently to the users, but blockchains don't store it. So there's a huge gap and there has to be a data layer. That's what I believe. So that's what we are solving at Blockflow. And as Emily mentioned, we I do have a presentation here. So I'll go on and present it if Emily doesn't have to say anything else.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I feel like I'll have a lot of questions afterwards.
Yeah,
But yeah, wow, okay. This is exciting. You should have
awesome.
told me you did all of this beforehand. I would have, like, come up with so many more but yeah,
No,
no, you're
no
you're
problem.
humble. Right.
Th-
Isn't that
yeah, this
something?
is, this is the first time we can have these kind of workshops again and again.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
so I am sharing my screen. Let me know when it's visible, Emily.
Yes, it's visible, so
Awesome. So, hey everyone. First of all, I would like to introduce you to Blockflow. We are a backend development product. We simplify backend development. We simplify on-chain data retrieval, basically bringing on-chain data retrieval on-chain data at your fingertips, which is kind of a big problem in the industry right now. So, uh, I have worked a lot in DeFi, so I'll start with that. So, top 10 DeFi protocols don't show complete data to their users. So they don't show PNL graphs, they don't show net APY graphs, they don't show uh, historical analysis of a user's position. And these are all data problems. And extracting this data from the blockchain is hard. That's why me, along with my team, we began this journey 1.5 years back to solve this problem for the industry. And that's what we are doing at Blockflow right now. So, since this workshop is focused upon Web3 backend, let's start with what is exactly Web3 backend. So, in a developer's journey of building a protocol, building a product, there are three aspects to it. First is the smart contracts, of course. Second is backend, and third is the front end. So, these are the broader aspects, and the journey starts with the smart contracts, where he writes smart contracts and basically tunes in how the protocol or the product will work. Then he has to manage, build this backend wherein he extracts this data from the blockchain, manages servers, manages databases, creates APIs, and which serve his front end eventually. So, this is the overall process wherein first the smart contracts are built. Then, in order to build a good UX and a good UI, you need to create a backend which extracts data from the smart contract, and you are able to show it efficiently on the front end. So this is the backend development where you this is the Web3 backend development we are going to talk about today, where you manage servers, you manage databases, you make sure that your product is sufficiently decentralized, and and you also make sure that your users get a very good UX. So now, how is Web3 backend different from Web2 backend? So, in Web 2, backend is very, very different because in Web 2, every application has their own stack for themselves. So, every application will have a front end, they will have a backend, and probably a database, which is their source of truth. So, and each application will be running their separate servers, their separate backends, their separate front ends, and their separate databases to keep their application running. Whereas in Web 3, the source of truth is the blockchain. So in Web 2, the source of truth was a primary database of that firm, whereas in Web 3, the source of truth is the blockchain, and every application builds a backend on top of this blockchain. Now, this might seem like building this backend on top of a single layer might seem like a very good thing, and it actually is, because now what Web3 has done is, because of Web3's composability, every any kind of smart contract, no matter it's an NFT smart contract, no matter it's DeFi, no matter it's gaming, no matter it's social, no matter it's maybe RWA smart contract, any kind of smart contract, it emits data in the same way. If it lies in the EVM ecosystem, then it emits data according to the Ethereum virtual machine. The smart contract doesn't care for which use case it was built for. Hence, this single data layer is used to is used to serve many applications. Now, let's talk about problem of this model. So, because every person builds backend on top of the same source of truth, every person indexes the whole blockchain. So, this is a huge problem in our ecosystem right now. So if I am supporting Ethereum and I have one smart contract on Ethereum, then I will have to index a lot of data just to filter out data from of my smart contract. So, to be more clear, let's say I am indexing transactions of a particular user. Let's say I have a wallet address and I'm indexing transactions of that wallet address. So right now, if I'm using RPCs to find all of my transaction history, what I'll have to do is I'll have to fetch data for every block, filter for every transaction, and see if any of the transaction was from my address. So, I'm literally indexing the whole blockchain to find my transactions. So, this is a primarily a very big problem for industry. So, if an application is serving like five or six blockchains, then it indexes the whole five or six blockchains, not the exact five or six smart contracts that they have on different chains. Second problem is that 90% of the stack these different firms build is the same. So, as I mentioned, everybody builds their own backend, and 90% of this backend is same for everyone because EVM works on the same model. Blockchains store data uh, in the same way, no matter it's a smart contract for NFT, it's a different DeFi protocol, it's the same DeFi protocol. Blockchains store data in the same way, and all of them are building their own backends for these 7 8 different chains, and maybe investing a lot of money and resources into it. And lastly, as I already mentioned, blockchains store data in form of inputs and outputs. Blockchains don't store every piece of information. It is kind of the source of truth for the most important information, but in order to show how what was the transaction journey, or at which part of the user journey he was having the maximum PNL or the lowest PNL, you have to have some secondary databases to store all this data. And in order to do that, it's pretty tech heavy to index all transactions of the blockchain and literally build a backend which can provide a web 2 like very good experience. So these are the issues involved with the current stack, and here is what we at Blockflow propose. We basically propose that the backend layer should also be simplified, similar to the source of truth layer has been by the blockchain. So, we propose that there has to be a data layer on top of the blockchain, so as any application should be able to retrieve any data they want from this single data layer. And right now in our industry, that layer is kind of the nodes or the RPCs. So, uh, the RPCs, for example, Alchemy, Infura, they all are pretty good solutions to kind of extract raw blockchain data. But when we talk about building a backend, these are kind of not the right solution according to me, because they are primarily meant to send transactions to the network. They are built to and optimized to write to the blockchain. They're not very optimized to read data from the blockchain. They are kind of inflexible. So basically, a layer like Blockflow would be directly using these RPCs or nodes to to retrieve data from the blockchain to the data layer of Blockflow, and the applications will be interacting with Blockflow. That's what we are proposing today. So I know that's a lot of information in a short amount of time. So what I'll do is I'll walk you through our product, and then I think it will be super clear that how you can basically build a backend using Blockflow. And since today, the agenda of this meeting, and it also aligns with a lot of Linea's vision, is account abstraction. So and I personally am as well pretty excited about that. So we are going to be indexing all the account abstraction transactions today using Blockflow, which is particularly something hard to build on our own. So I'll proceed to the product right now. um, my screen got away, one sec. Yes, my screen should be visible again. Yes, Emily? Hello. Can't hear you, Emily.
Yes, your screen is visible. Though before we start, I guess we did have a question from the
Sure.
audience, if you can. So I guess
Sure.
um, there's a few things. So the first part, how is Blockflow defining themselves in the market versus like other API products?
So, other API products, I mean, how they operate is, which is actually a pretty good model as well. They have um, they have built these APIs which many of the startups need, many of the firm needs. For example, many of these firms need APIs for token prices, token balances, or maybe some bigger protocols like the transaction volume this address has on Uniswap. So these kinds of APIs might be used by a lot of firms in the market, and which is pretty good business model as well. But we at Blockflow, on the other hand, let you index your smart contract. So what I mean here is, let's say there's an API which gives you balances of a token. Now, if I deployed a token right now, I won't be able to get balance of that smart contract using this API because they have some set of bigger tokens that they index. With Blockflow, you will be able to index your smart contract. So, let's say I developed a DeFi protocol today. Maybe I developed the next Aave or something. I'll be able to index every piece of information related to Aave. So all the all the all the utilization and borrow rate curves, all the supplies each user has, all the portfolios each user has, all the prices of each tokens, all the health factors, all the LTVs of each tokens, everything I'll be able to, for in order to show all these information on my front end, I'll be able to index my smart contract, which is not possible with these API products in the market.
Cool. We have another question here as well. How does the Oracle problem impact the integration reliability of off-chain data feeding into?
So yes, so uh, Blockflow is not kind of has not kind of gotten into the Oracle space right now. We're very different from them. So Oracle's push off-chain data on chain. So maybe the overall the main use case people are using oracles right now is more or less the prices of assets. So they push these prices of these assets on chain, so smart contracts get access to them, whereas Blockflow helps you retrieve data from the blockchain. It is not pushing data on the blockchain. It is kind of it is helping you retrieve data from the blockchain so you can build your backend to serve your front end. So it's very different.
Awesome. And then I guess there's one final question here. Um, does Blockflow use some sort of stream? Oh, there's
Yes.
more questions. We will get into the building part later, but I think it's important to answer these right away. Um,
Yes, I am excited about the questions too.
yeah, so
Okay.
this one, does Blockflow use streams or something like that?
So Blockflow has this in-house built streams where the model is kind of IFTTT. If this, then that. So if you can attach triggers to the blockchain and you can add a reaction to the same. So, the trigger can be if this smart contract emitted this, or if this smart contract got a transaction like this. These kinds of triggers can be attached to the blockchain. So, use case might be if ETH price is this much on Chainlink, or if this user supplied this much on Aave, or if this user is going to get liquidated in Aave. These kinds of triggers you can attach to the blockchain and add a reaction to the same. So, you'll be able to react to these triggers via code. So, for example, if whenever there's an account abstraction transaction, update my database. If this, then that. Whenever a user sent a transaction on my smart contract, update the user portfolio in my database. So these kinds of streams are used in the Blockflow ecosystem.
Awesome. Cool. There's this one. Are there any design patterns in Web3 backend, like model service?
Yes, yes. So there exists a lot of design patterns, which we aim to completely disrupt. So we bullish future for us at Blockflow is that everybody is kind of building their backends via Blockflow, which basically, according to us and according to a lot of our clients, is the most optimized design pattern to build a backend for Web3 applications. And there are multiple design patterns in the ecosystem right now. So some of the folks, they deploy a smart contract called a UI data provider or resolver. Many people call it different things, and then read data via single smart contract, which is kind of their single source of truth. Some other people monitor these smart contract events to fill their databases and then use this database to build their backends. And some other folks might be tracking the transactions to the smart contract or some other parameters. So there are a lot of models in the industry right now.
Cool. And then, oh, okay. I can't finish these. Here's this one. Can Blockflow provide me with transaction history for addresses?
So so we have predefined API for it, so you don't need to build anything. You just have to enter the user's address and you get the transaction history of the user. Plug and play.
Awesome. And then I guess this is not so much a question about Blockflow, but if you're very knowledgeable, if you have recommendations on the front end side.
For the back end, I will use Blockflow, and for the front end, what would you recommend? So with across the applications I have been a part of, first of all, like raw ethers.js is pretty good. Then I have used SDKs from an SDK is called Used App. I've used that. Then we've used Morales SDK. It's pretty good. So to build the front end, there are a lot of good SDKs which basically simplify the whole process, and they have like great onboardings as well. So the top one I would recommend is using Morales.
Awesome. Cool. And then I guess someone's like, are you guys hiring?
Maybe. So we do have a hiring portal. So go to Blockflow Network, or maybe reach me out directly on LinkedIn or Twitter.
Okay. Cool. That's all we have for now. So let's dive into actually seeing Blockflow in action.
Sure, sure. So let me share my screen. Let me know when my screen is visible, Emily.
Okay. Cool. Hey, your screen is visible.
Awesome, awesome. So we got a question for streams, and there's this concept of instances on Blockflow. So by the way, this is what our dashboard looks like. And when you go to instances, you will find these IFTTT instances which I mentioned, which the user has created. So these are instances I've created. So today we are going to index all account abstraction transactions on Linea. So let's try to do it, and while doing it, I guess everything will be pretty clear. So many people here might know how account abstraction works. So there's this entry point smart contract uh, where where these bundlers bundle transactions broadcast it to the entry point smart contract in a single transaction. So this is the entry point smart contract on Linea, and this has an event called user operation event. So whenever there's a account abstraction transaction, this event is emitted by this smart contract. So this is what we are going to use today as our trigger. So whenever there's a user operation event, we know that an account abstraction transaction happened, and hence if we attach a trigger to this, we'll be able to index all account abstraction transactions. So what I'll do is, all I have to do here is just copy the address. I'll go to create instance on Blockflow. By the way, Blockflow is live, and anybody can create an account at app.blockflow.network. So I already have one, so I'm using that. We can go to create instance. We have to select the chain,
Okay, can
and
I
we
stop you really quick? Because there is a comment about, I think it's a little small. I don't know if you can zoom in or make it a little.
sure, 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 sure. I can zoom in, but okay,
Okay, yeah, I think that's
uh,
better.
better,
It's a
right?
little fuzzy, but I think the it's there. Yeah.
Okay. So I think next screen should be pretty clear. But here, all I have to do is select the network. So when I selected Linea, and I select next, and this is where we define our trigger. So Emily, is it too small? Should I zoom in?
Um, yeah, I think if you can zoom in, it would be nice. I know I want to see the full screen, but
Yes. Yeah. So I have to paste the address over here, and the address we copied of the entry point smart contract, and we fetch the ABI. So, and now we have to select the event we care about. So since we wanted to attach a trigger to the user operation event, we select that. And what we have done so far is defined the trigger. So, whenever there's a user operation event, we have told Blockflow to do something. So now I'll go to next. And this is where you define via code the reaction to the trigger. So, this is where you define what to do when a account abstraction transaction happens. So, I just before this meeting, I wrote some code as the reaction is just 3 lines, and I created a template for it. I'll just import the code from that template. And here we go, just 3 lines. Basically, whenever there's a account abstraction transaction, we store it into a database. So, you can test out the code here. This is how the database object of my code will look like. So what this means is, in this block number, this transaction happened this transaction happened which had this user operation, which had this account abstraction transaction. So this is how we are storing data today. So this way we'll be storing every block wise which all account abstraction transaction existed in that particular block. So all I have to do is select next. Now this is the time variable. So you if you want to backfill your database, because there are a lot of transactions that happened before as well, before we created this instance. So this is where so for example, today is 9th of January. What if I wanted all of the account abstraction transactions from the 1st of January? So I'll have to enter the relevant block number here. So I can also, by the way, enter the block number where the smart contract was deployed. But since syncing, backfilling that data will take time, so for the sake of simplicity, I'll just select a recent block number. So this block happened 4 minutes ago. I'll go to Blockflow. I'll enter that, and I'll name this instance linear AA indexing. And we select next, and we are done. So this should create my instance. I'll go back to instances. I'll just reload once. So it pops up, and here it pops up linear AA indexing. Let's check out what our database is looking like. So these are general metrics, but let's check out the data, and we should reload once or twice, and we should find the data easily. So first it backfills the data, and then it pops up on the screen. Sometimes it takes a while. Let me maybe show this one, linear A indexing test. So here you go. So this by the way has now become an automatically updating database. So whenever there's a account abstraction transaction, your database will update. So how it is storing data right now is, in this block number, this transaction hash happened, in which this account abstraction transaction was there. So if in a particular transaction, if multiple account abstraction transactions are bundled, there will be more here, and it is storing this data block wise. So after 6 7 there was 6 8 block number, it also had a transaction. There was 6 9, it also had a transaction. So that's how it's storing data. And how you can access this data. There is two ways. First, you can own this database. You can actually create your own MongoDB database and just pass on the credentials to Blockflow, and your data will directly be streamed to your own database. Or you can use a managed database, which I just did right now. So this is a managed database managed by Blockflow, and you can access this data via creating APIs. So let's create an API right now. So I'll go to create API. I will select the instance I care about. So we were using this one. So I'll select that. And here I have to add the API logics. So if you want to show the data as it is, then you can just show the data as it is. So but if you want to do some transformations in so the API response looks better, so you can do that. So right now I also have an API template for this. So just a couple lines, I guess. Yes, so this is what we had to code in order to generate the response. We just have to enter the instance ID, which I should be able to get it from the instances part. So, we were using this in the instance. I'll copy the instance ID and I will paste it here, and we are done. I'll just, yeah, we are done. I'll just name this API linear AA indexing demo. Here we go. So let's check out our API. I'll just reload once. I'll also go in here. So this is what our API was. This is what we created right now. And let's check out the API response. So in our API we had to enter the block number and what it used to do. What it's going to do in that block number, which all account abstraction transactions happen. It is going to show us data related to that. So I'm just seeing this is what our database was looking like. So I'll just use this block number, and we should get the account abstraction transactions that happened in that block number. So we'll fetch the response. And here you go. So we've created basically an API which gives you all the count abstraction transactions that happened in a particular block. So essentially, we indexed count abstraction transactions for the whole linear network. This was, by the way, an example use case where we indexed just one smart contract, which was the count abstraction and the entry point smart contract. But Blockflow, if Blockflow is supporting a network, it supports all the smart contracts on that chain. So if even if there are million 200 million any smart, even if I deployed a smart contract right now, I'll be able to index it using Blockflow. So I hope you guys liked it, and that's how easy it is to build an API using Blockflow. Thanks.
Wow, that's super smooth. That I really like that you use like a graphical interface too. But we do have a question here. Can you tell us about? So this is actually my question too. Any upcoming features or enhancements that we can get excited for?
Yes, yes, definitely yes. So a thing of a short term which many of the developers can help us build is we want to build these templates across different protocols. So let's say if someone wants to integrate Awe's data into their backend, we want to have a template for it. So we're going to have a template marketplace where if any developer builds a template for his product, then it can be used for integrations with different products, and maybe the developer will get the full revenue if that template is used. So that's something of the we are planning to do in the next 4 months or something, 3 4 months. And in the longer term, like not a lot longer term, but in the next 8 9 months, what we are planning to build is kind of a data node. So nodes are a very good solution to write to the blockchain, but we don't believe they are the right solution to read data from the blockchain. They were built and are optimized to write data to send transactions. Whereas we will build a node where you will be able to maybe if you want to fetch transaction history, it's a single call instead of filtering that address in all the blocks of the blockchain. So it will be a super flexible node, and it is going to be open sourced, and I hope a lot of developers could help us build that. And apart from that, use Blockflow and help us build the data layer or maybe the data rollup for the ecosystem. Thanks.
Awesome. That's exciting that you guys are going to start open sourcing things too. I feel like that's incredibly important for growing an
Exactly.
ecosystem, product, I don't know, other things. What was I gonna say? Oh, what I was gonna say is like, I think what would be helpful for me, especially as we move into hackathon season, right? And we have some sort of like, I guess, beginners or people exploring the space. Can you give some example use cases or seeding ideas that you kind of see Blockflow in the wild, just to kind of land them on something more concrete?
So some hacker ideas for
Yeah.
using the hackathon, right?
Yeah, it could be, or just like IRL use cases right now, like Blockflow in the wild as inspiration.
Yes, yes. So many there are a lot of many of the I have been a Web3 user for a long time, and many of these products, these they need a lot of some dashboards which show a lot of statistics which are not shown in their own product. So let's take example of the biggest one of the biggest decentralized exchanges, Uniswap. So there's Uniswap, which where liquidity providers provide liquidity, but you cannot, as a liquidity provider, you do not get the essence of how much you are earning. So there are many factors like impermanent loss. There's impermanent loss. You don't know how much APR you are earning, how much it compounds annually and becomes in APY. So what you could do is build a dashboard which using Blockflow as their backend for these bigger applications, showing a lot more data so as power users could access that. Secondly, Blockflow, since it allows you to attach triggers to on-chain events or on-chain anything on-chain you can attach trigger to. So you could build these automation pipelines. So let's say a pretty normal example would be maybe monitoring health factors of users using Blockflow, and then if a user is going to get liquidated, send a transaction to save him. Or maybe some security related things as well. So maybe monitoring the meme pool using Blockflow, and if a protocol is going to get hacked, send a transaction to pause the protocol or save it. So there are a lot of use cases if we talk about this whole infrastructure that Blockflow has built, if this then that. So you could use it in many ways.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah. Oh yeah, I had another question, right? Like you showed us the really cool like interface. Actually, can you start with like the entry point? How do we even get there? Right? Like what site do I navigate to?
Yeah,
Uh,
sure.
yeah.
So I'll just okay. I'm not sharing my screen,
Yeah, yeah,
correct?
yeah.
Sorry, sir.
No worries.
So I have shared my screen.
Yep.
So first of all, I would like to show you guys our landing page. So this is what our landing page looks like. And here back a little while back there was no way to get to the dashboard, but now we've made it public so anybody could go to get started and just navigate to the dashboard, which is at app.blockflow.network. So you can create an account here using the new account button. You will be able to make yourself a username, add your email address, and maybe make a password here for yourself. Soon enough, there's going to be a connect wallet option as well, because I personally as well didn't like this flow. So I already have this account, so I'll be able to log in, and here you go. You are inside the dashboard, and this is what it looks like. This is going to load, take a while. So for a new user, one sec. So let's maybe create a new account and show you guys. Let me use the name Webhove. Hmm. Mm, this should work. Yes. So whenever you create an account, you get a login link. So I should be able to, if I have the access to that. One sec.
I will stop sharing the screen so you can go to your email and we can hide all your personal information.
Sure. Yes. So, in the email, you get a login link. When you click to that, you're redirected to the Blockflow's dashboard, and I am in.
Okay,
It's
awesome.
visible to see, and you go to create instance, and you're able to basically get the chains page where you select the chain and create a IFTTT instance. That's how it works.
Okay, cool. We have another question. Can you explain the difference between block flow and the graph?
Sure, sure. So, Graph is like kind of like a decentralized network where people can become indexers and developers can use these subgraphs. So, first of all, Graph is not someone which in the new service, which is the decentralized service, where Graph does not index things on their own. So, first of all, Blockflow can be an indexer in the Graph ecosystem. We are And secondly, the Graph is kind of an indexing solution. We are a backend solution. So, the overall vision and the products are very different. However, the with the first version, there are a lot of things you could also, if you in a very different and maybe a little more difficult way, you could build attach triggers to events via building a subgraph. But longer term or vision is to become a backend solution serving every aspect of a developer's journey, covering simulations, covering indexing, covering monitoring, covering automations, everything.
Okay, cool. Um, and then okay, so we have your website up. Any way to get in contact? What's your Twitter? It's like backwards, right? It's like
Yes, it's backwards. So I'll just it's K_web_underscore, and Blockflow's Twitter is flow_block. So it's backward.
okay. So this is K underscore. I think I
Web of
spelled.
underscore K_web_.
Oh, okay. Let me
Yeah.
redo this. K
Yes.
underscore vibe have underscore.
And a
This
very
is
good very good way to reach me out is via my Telegram. I keep it very active and reply to everyone. So it's web_khanda.
okay. Here, you
Uh,
can add it in the private chat too, and then we'll post that. And then the company one is flow underscore block.
yes.
Okay. So
So I have added in the private chat my Telegram.
okay, cool. Wow, you're brave. Yes. If you would like to talk to the wonderful CEO, also creator of Diamond Proxy, everything, seasoned Web3 user. Here you go. This is some big private info that you're getting here. Cool. Awesome. So I think that's all we have. There's a bit of a lag, so I'll count down from 10. And if there's no additional questions from 10, I'll let you go and then people can watch the recording if they're like, oh, 45 minutes right now is too long. But yeah, awesome. Okay. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. I think that covers the lag. So, thank you so much for joining. I think I learned a lot. You guys are doing some really cool stuff. So, this is like the perfect kind of cap off, not cap off, cap on start to 2024. So, I'm excited to see what Blockflow does and all the interesting to you guys that will be releasing. You said in 3 to 4 months as well.
Yes, yes.
All right,
There are
cool.
going to be updates pretty much every week from now on. So maybe I would recommend you guys to stay tuned over our and Linea's Twitter as well.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I'm going to end the stream here. So, thanks again for coming
Bye bye,
and
guys.
okay,